friends. This is John, your host of Dairyland Frights. And make sure, wherever you listen to Dairyland Frights, to rate and subscribe us. Give us 5 stars. We truly appreciate it. And make sure you give us a review so we can see how we can improve the show, make it better, and stay spooky. Welcome to Dairyland Frights, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest and beyond. And today I am truly blessed to have one of my favorite podcasters and also social media, what I want to call her, is a Parascani, because she's from Wisconsin. She's in the paranormal. I love this. She's in the paranormal. She's awesome. And she's from Wisconsin. It is Star from the Creepy and Shit podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is my pleasure, Star. It is awesome. If you don't have an opportunity, I don't know why, what's wrong with you? Go over to her social media sites on Instagram. You can talk more about it and everything, where she is. And she tells these great creepy stories, and it's just really, I just love the enthusiasm you bring. And I love that some are just, yeah, that's creepy. That is creepy. And so let me ask you this. I always ask my guests this. It's a pretty generic question. Like, how did you get started in the paranormal? What kind of motivated you? Or, one day you said, let's do this.
Well, okay, if we really back it up way back.
Let's back it up.
Then I would definitely say it probably all started right around the age of 7, 8, 9, somewhere right in there. And my mom had this card game where if you ever played War with like a deck of cards, like a deck of regular cards, she had it, but it was in the style of the Addams family. So super vintage game from like her childhood. Yeah. And I remember playing and I was like, who are these people? Like, who is this? And my mom's like, only the best family ever to have existed in like cinematic history, because my mom's a huge Addams Family fan. And then she introduced me to it and I started watching like the old TV show, like in black and white. And I just loved how different they were and so unapologetic about it. And then I think shortly after like that time frame, that's when Unsolved Mysteries came out. And and I look back at it and I was like, oh my God, I was way too young for that show, but my parents let me watch it because, I'm Gen X. So I'm absolutely like, came out okay.
All right. Well, that's good.
And so that's where like it all really started. And then somewhere around like your 20s, early 30s, I started like, maybe that's just a little too weird for people. And you're still pretty self-conscious in your 20s. So I stopped talking about it and just didn't think much of it. And I was doing a different type of podcast, but it was no longer resonating for me. And I'm like, I still want a podcast, but I'm not really sure what I want a podcast about. So one of my friends prompted me and she's like, you know what? She's like, I know you well. She's like, you love paranormal stuff. You should just check this out. Funny thing is, I didn't even know like a specific paranormal podcast even existed. I thought it was just like always true crime or something like that. And I'm like, yeah. I like that, but I don't love that. And I'm like, I like the spooky, the kind of creepy, is it, isn't it? That kind of thing. And she's like, go check out this podcast and then see what you think. And I was like, okay. And I never it occurred to me like, okay, yes, I can do this. And that happened probably late last year. And then I got to work on doing like research and like all of that stuff to like kind of get some stories put together. And then I launched the podcast in May of this year.
Yeah, it's a wonderful podcast. And let me correct myself. I said creepy as shit. It is the Creepy Shit podcast. Yes. But it's creepy as shit. So that's what I meant, So there you go, folks. Don't worry. All the links and everything will be in there. Right. So I'll have that. You can go and Sea Star, and it's great on Instagram. That's where I found her, and her podcast is awesome and stuff. So I have to ask, when was your first paranormal experience, and what was it about? What happened?
Oh, that's a great question. So the first one that I really truly remember was I was going to the Radisson in Oshkosh, and I was going to go there. I was going to be doing and helping and assisting with a hair show that was going on because I do cosmetology by day at that time. And I remember being in that lobby, and there's 3 like really huge chandeliers in the lobby. And I was up in the balcony, and I was walking through, and all of a sudden I look at all 3 of those, and only one of them is like slowly rotating around. And I'm like, okay. And now the skeptic in me is like, okay, where's the vent? Is there a fan somewhere? Like something like that. And I'm looking at I'm like, I don't see anything near it. So I'm like, okay. And I had heard someone say, like, before I went there, like, that a particular hotel is haunted. And I'm like, really? So I was very excited, but I didn't expect anything. And then I just caught that. And I was like,
Yeah.
So I'm a believer. I didn't see anything immediately to dismiss it. So I'm like, I'm going to take that with what it's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. Has there been any other paranormal events?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I think one of my favorite ones was when I was at the Stone Cellar.
Where's that?
It's a restaurant in Appleton. Oh my gosh. And their food, like, seriously, I'm such a foodie. Their food is like, it's so good. You're
making me hungry. Stop it.
Yeah. So I would, if you ever get a chance to go. So it's awesome. Down between the locks over on Old Oneida Street in Appleton. Okay. And down in that, where the brewery is, you walk down and it opens to a bar. If you take it left, it takes you to additional seating. And if you go right, there's a long hallway with kind of like a private party room. And then the restrooms are back there. And of course, I had to use the restroom. So I went over and I, did the girly thing. And I'm in the bathroom, and all of a sudden the lights go out. And I'm like, hey! And all of a sudden the lights came back on immediately. Now, the funny thing is about that, I was the only one in the bathroom. It was only a 2-stall bathroom. And that door to the bathroom is old as you know what. Like, it's old as dirt. So it's ancient. And it's probably, like, honestly, it's probably the original door. So it creaks like mad. I would have heard if somebody would have came in. Sure. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. And so I'm like, you know what? Just going to wash my hands, get back to my table. So I wash my hands. I start to leave. And I don't know why. I don't know why I do the things that I do, but I turned around and I looked, and like underneath the door, you have like that line of light. And I saw the lights go out, and I saw the lights go back on, and I saw the lights go out. And I'm like, okay, I'm going back to my table.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just had the weirdest thing happen. And the waitress is like in the bathroom, and I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you met Eddie. And I was like, what?
Eddie? Okay.
So
who's Eddie?
He was apparently a very friendly ghost who likes to, I wouldn't say torment, because I definitely didn't feel like a malevolent spirit, but likes to tease the ladies a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. I'm like, if that be the case, I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah. That reminds me of a haunting I did. There is a haunted house in St. Louis, Missouri, where supposedly a ghost is like Eddie, who likes to peer over the lady's stall. Yeah. Imagine that, Star. Imagine you're doing your business, and then you look up, and there's some ghostly figure just staring down at you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I would so scream. I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Like, come on. Yeah, that's really interesting. And you said, you didn't feel like it was evil or anything like that. It was just kind of messing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love those stories because that reminds me of like you're talking about that door. And people forget in the paranormal, there's a theory called stone tape theory. And basically, it's anything that has, for example, Gettysburg. It absorbs all the negative energy. It absorbs all the blood, the guts, and everything. So when you go in there, it's just full of hate and pain, and you know what I mean?
Yes, and
And
it's like
things like that. Yeah,
it's like a thickness.
yeah. And that can go for any object.
Yeah.
You know, that can go for a door. That can go for a sink. Like if somebody was like murdered and fell against that door and bled to death on that door, and that was their last time, they, saw life and you died there. Yeah, you probably could touch that door and be like, wow, something's off. Like, you know
Right?
what I mean?
Definitely.
Right. I think that's really cool. Yeah. Any paranormal experience that really though scared you? Like you were like, okay, I'm scared. I'm out.
Oh, not really, because usually like when I have had something happen, I've been more like authoritative than scared.
Sure.
So like I really haven't, thankfully, I definitely don't want that to happen, because I definitely know a few stories that would scare me if I did encounter that kind of energy, or that any sort of that residual haunting. Like I'd be like, nope.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But thankfully I haven't had anything really truly like scare me.
Good. Yeah. Again, from interviewing people all over the world and everything like that, and people living in haunted houses and everything, it always amazes me, Star. Like, I've interviewed numerous people who grew up in a haunted house, who live in a haunted house right now, who have lived in a haunted house. And the funny thing about it is what they say to me is kind of like interesting. It's kind of taking away some of the stereotypes, because you think a haunted house is like every time you go in there, there's a demon following you around, because it's movies, right?
Yeah.
It's the movies that, and getting the clicks, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, there's a shadow girl in the basement and she wants to hang you, and she trips over the stairs. Like one of my favorite scenes in The Conjuring, the first one, where the wife is going downstairs and the door is locked and she's trying to get out, and then these two hands come out of nowhere and clap right in front of her. Oh my God. I was just like, that was awesome. That was a great scene. But
speaking of, that reminds me of
go ahead.
Movie that I ever screamed out loud on.
Okay.
Did you, and it was with Jamie Lee Curtis, but it wasn't Halloween. It was a movie called Mother's Boys. I don't know if you remember this movie.
Sure, yeah.
And it's like this, where the kid is dreaming about her, and she's not, she's obviously not a very good mom. She's a very creepy mom. She like, in the dream, she's standing in this door frame, and all of a sudden it like panned forwards like super fast, and I wasn't expecting it, and I'm like that scared me.
Yeah, I love that. So let me ask you, what is your favorite creepy story, or that you've brought up, or just news or anything that you've gone, wow, I gotta let people know this is really creepy. This is creepy shit.
There's been a few, and I've got a few in my arsenal right now too that I've come across that are not very well known.
Sure.
And one of them is for Wisconsin, and I'm going to be doing an upcoming episode on that one. And maybe you know it, maybe you don't know it, but the novitiate. Do you know about the novitiate?
No, I don't know about that one.
It's out in Gresham. It's an old mansion, and it has got a very, like, I'm only just getting into the research on it right now, but it's got a really dark history. There's been a shootout there. There's some alleged hauntings going on there, and it's currently under renovation for a bed and breakfast, but it's been under that renovation, and this is where I want to dig in. It's been under that that repair for just a little bit too long. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're going on years here, and it's like, okay, what happened? Yeah. Was it funding? Was it something else? Like, I want to know more. So there's that one. And then one of the other ones that I think is like truly terrifying is the Corpsewood Manor. That is a very, very scary story to me. I'm like, that's definitely something that I wouldn't go and mess around with. That's not something I want to go see. Like,
okay. tell me more, like, where is it? Kind of get a little tease for my audience here.
Sure. So Corpsewood Manor is down in the Chattahoochee National Forest in the northern woods of like Georgia. And the man who put this together, who put together Corpsewood Manor, literally built this mansion by hand. And he was like, he was a professor at Loyola University. And he had a lot of other secrets going on. And this is during the time of the Satanic Panic, and also the time of when like gay rights were still very much like, we don't talk about that, we don't expose ourselves that way, kind of a thing, or come out of the closet that way. And so he was both of those things. And him and his partner decided to just go out in the middle of the nowhere, build their own house, live off the grid. They did it all by hand. And word got around town, of course, like these two are out in the woods, and two gentlemen did not like that. So they went and unfortunately they murdered him and his two dogs. He had two dogs, and really sad, really tragic, because the whole thing is that they thought, the guys who were robbing him thought that he had money. They're like, oh, he's got to be loaded. He lives out in the middle of nowhere. He's got this big house, whatever. Well, they literally walked away with like a handful of change and a silver candlestick. Like they didn't get away with anything.
Yeah.
And justice was served. They did get caught. One of them is still serving life in prison as we speak today. But the grounds and the ruins for that home, because it did wind up catching on fire. And Dr. Scudder was known for doing a lot of satanic rituals down in his basement. And so people have reported like very dark, ominous presence. People have walked away physically bruised, scratched, like all of those kind of things. And I'm like, that's not something that I'd want to play with. That's not something I'd want to go hike out in the woods for or anything like that. I'm like, that's where I would draw the line. Like, that's a little scary to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things which is really interesting is, I don't know if you've heard about if you've already done it, maybe you covered this, the Demon House in Gary, Indiana. That is one of the few houses that they have a priest, a doctor, police officer, and numerous other people who saw the demon and saw the kids like do just things like walking on the walls, like crazy stuff. Now, unfortunately, and this is where it gets a little cloudy, right? It gets a little messy. There is no evidence, right? This happened fairly recently. We're talking early 2000s. So, a lot of people, when I've brought this up with this topic, they're like, well, why didn't they take a picture? Or why didn't they do that? Well, they were a poor black family. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they didn't have cell phones. Or if you think about it, if you're sitting there and all of a sudden your kid starts walking on the walls, is the first thing you're going to do is grab your phone and be like, hey, this is really cool.
Hang on a minute. Can you just hang on? I'll be right back.
Yeah, just, here, tilt your head. I want to get this portrait. I mean, I understand, but anyway, it's a really, really fascinating story because, again, they've interviewed police officers who were called to the house, and I believe them. I mean, why would you make this up?
Right.
And the priest, and then when they went to the hospital to look at these kids, the doctor saw them levitating and saw the kids, it's a crazy story. They did a documentary, Bagel Bites, Zach Baggins did a documentary that used to be on Amazon Prime. I'm not sure if it's still there, called Demon House, where he was actually possessed. Like, he lost his sight, according to him. Like, he was blind for a while because he stood in the house overnight by himself.
That's brave.
Take it where you want to take it. And unfortunately, you cannot go to that house because he tore it down. Okay. He had it torn down. He ripped it down. Really? It's no longer there.
Okay.
However, the land is still there, obviously, and the plot is still there. And people go there and do satanic rituals still. They believe it's a gateway to hell that is letting demons. It's an interesting story. But, the funny thing about it, when I was researching this, and this is be my next question for you, when I was researching this, I felt strange. So sometimes I research things, when all my kids and the family's gone to bed, no one's bugging me. So I'm a night owl. So sometimes I might be up at like 1:00 in the morning. I was researching something. And I'll tell you, Star, when I was researching, I felt strange. And then right in my office door, I have it closed. I felt this presence on the other side of the door when I was researching the demon and researching the house. And I just felt strange. So I went to the door thinking maybe it's my kid, one of my kids or my wife saying, hey, get to bed. Why are you up so damn late? But when I reached for the doorknob, there was part of me said, do not open this door. Do not open this door. And I backed away and I still felt a weird presence there.
Oh my
and
gosh.
To this day, it freaks me out. And I just wrapped up my research and everything. I stopped researching. And eventually I stood in here and kind of calmed myself down because I was having some anxiety about it. And then I opened the door and there was nothing behind it. But my question is, have you ever been researching something and then something's off? You feel a little weird and you got to stop, or you feel like somebody's watching you or something?
I haven't had it in researching, but I've had it in podcasting. Like where I finally have everything put together and I'm really telling the story. And I have had moments where and the biggest one that stands out is I had a guest on the show and she is an expert in haunted objects. And she did the podcast from her haunted objects room in her house. And it's a very cool room. Throughout the process in the interview, I suddenly felt kind of faint and kind of nauseous. And I know one of them is she's got some really cool objects. She's got a haunted cradle. She's got haunted dolls, and like the room is just really fascinating because I was like trying to, look, I'm like, what do you got in there?
Hey, what's going on?
So, and she said there was one particular spirit in there who tends to get a little grumpy and a little territorial. And I really I sometimes wonder, I'm like, did I pick up something? Did it because we were in the middle of that?
Yeah.
How could that energy work? And someone had said oh, energy knows no bounds. And I'm like, that is true. It's always moving in and out of form. It always is, never wasn't. And that kind of makes sense, So I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay. Needless to say, there was some sage and some crystals involved in my pockets for the rest of the day.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So as long as we're on this topic, I have to know. I always ask all my paranormal people, Annabelle, what do you think? Real, not real? What's going on with that thing?
Okay.
It's weird, right? Why are people dying and then
Yeah, I honestly, that is one where it's initially I kind of wondered, I'm like, okay, this could be a little bit of hype, a little bit of hocus pocus,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then stuff just started happening. And then you started tampering with things that were literally put behind glass for a reason. And whatever you think of Ed and Lorraine, whether you thought they were real, whether you thought they were a little bit more for, the entertainment value. Honestly, I'm going to say they were probably a little bit of both. I think both can totally coexist in that realm. And I just think because that doesn't make them wrong. You know what I mean?
No,
so I'm you put that behind some glass for a reason. And when you handled it with gloves initially. So I just feel that you probably shouldn't have tampered with that. And then all that stuff started to happen. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm a believer. That's not, I don't believe, I don't believe in coincidences, period. I just don't.
Yeah.
That's just me. But too many things happened where I'm like, there's absolutely no way in my eyes that could all be coincidence. But that's just me. I never naysay anybody who thinks otherwise or has a different perspective because I'm always open to talking about it. But yeah, for me, I'm like, nope, I'm a believer on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of, I have a love and not hate. That's not the right word. But if you look into Ed Warren, he's a very sketchy dude.
He's a very sketchy dude. Yeah, I agree with you
his relationship with a minor,
Yep.
You can look into that. That's under public record.
Sure.
That is not made up. That is not, a lot of people say, oh, that's a smear campaign. They're smearing them. No, that's real.
It is
And
real.
Lorraine was kind of, he did unfortunately beat Lorraine. He was very mean to her. A lot of domestic abuse in there. So I'm like, part of, and a lot of it with the movies. So, for example, I talk to people from the UK. I love my UK people. They're so interesting. One of the things they talked about is this one gentleman said, oh, in The Conjuring 2, where the Enfield poltergeist, where Ed and Lorraine Warren was this huge. No, they weren't. They were there 15 minutes. They took a thing, recording, and got on the plane and went back home. And that was it.
And
they
that was
didn't
the end
do
of it.
squat. In fact, the people who own the house said they made it worse. So, I mean, I get it. They have that museum, which is now with this comedian named Matt Rife, who bought it with a partner, which I think is absolutely hilarious.
Thank you.
But if it is truly what they say, they have cursed objects in there. You can't just keep it like your closet. Like, I should go in my closet and get some of my old clothes out and donate it to Goodwill or St. Vinny's or whatever. No, these are like supposedly satanic rituals, have been done with objects. These are cursed objects that are really bad, supposedly.
Yes.
Okay, allegedly. Okay.
Right.
Shouldn't someone be going in there every day with their crystals and their blessings and being like, okay,
maybe put
close
a little
the
ring
door.
of salt around it.
Make a little ring of salt. Let's do that. And everybody kind of treats it like, okay, come on in, give me $10 and you can take a look. I'm like, whoa. Because somebody asked me, and I'll ask you the same question, would I go in there? And I said, absolutely not, without protection. I would have someone I trust with me that knows how to properly sage, properly give me proper crystals, and properly cleanse me once I leave. Because we just said that energy has no bounds. So if I go in there, right? Well, what do you think is going to happen?
Who's to say that not a piece of it could attach to you in some way?
Exactly.
No, thank you.
Yeah, same question. So you're the same way too. What would you do if invited to see it?
100%. I don't even know if I would go. I really don't.
Yeah, I'd be on the fence. Yeah.
I would be very on the fence. If I did, much like you, I would make sure that I have all the proper things to cleanse and to make sure that nothing attaches to me. And even then, that kind of stuff where you have it that locked up for that long, just saying, lions don't like to be caged, and I'm pretty sure spirits don't either.
Absolutely.
So I just don't think it's a good idea.
We are totally sinking on that, and just to kind of treat it like a nonchalant kind of thing, like it's a museum that has tobacco pipes in it. Like, no, this is serious stuff. This caused havoc to people, you and me. All right. I'm like,
because there's such a difference between like a house of oddities, like House on the Rock, versus
correct.
Versus something like this, where it actually has to do with a lot of dark entities and paranormal activity. Like,
correct.
Those are things like paranormal activity and those types of entities. They deserve space. Two, they deserve respect and not to be toyed with.
Yes.
Like, it's just not a good idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the other one that I think is really interesting is Robert the Dow. And I think that is real because I've spoke to people. Robert the Dow in Florida is supposedly this cursed Dow that this one gentleman basically was like his best friend for a while. If you haven't researched it, Star, I don't know if you know much about it. Go research it.
Not about that one.
Well, go research it. That is, I'm giving you a free topic.
Okay.
You will love this. So it's behind some glass, and what you have to do, and this is truthful, you have to go to Robert the Dow, and if you're taking a picture, you have to say, Robert, is it okay I take your picture? If you do not do that, people have gotten cancer. People have gotten into serious car accidents. People have died. And you're going to go, okay, yeah, but that can happen, right? Unfortunately,
Right.
and but it's usually And when I was told, like, this one gentleman I had on and this one woman I had on were paranormal investigators, and I've seen the doll, and it's creepy too. You can look at pictures later. Went in there, and everyone tells stories. Like the keeper of it, or the person in charge, manager there, will be like, this has happened. I want to tell you this. So when you go there, do not knock on the glass. Do not make fun. You got to ask if you can take the picture. And so they did all that, and they were fine. But he tells stories, or she tells stories of this not going very well. And people are mocking the doll. Like, oh, because it looks like an old 1920s night. It has like the button eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was made like by someone, and the person, when you go into deeper research, this person who had the doll was kind of a unfortunately mentally challenged person, and they were up in the attic with this doll, and they would talk to it like it's a normal person.
Mhm.
And there was very, very serious issues going on, and very serious issues that once this doll was moved, and now it's under protection in Florida, of all places. Not to make fun of Florida, but I'm like, that's kind of weird. Why didn't the Warrens grab that one? Because that one, in my opinion, this is my opinion, is worse than Annabelle. I mean, there's legitimate proof that this doll has caused people to die or people to get really, really sick. And it's interesting, and not to say that Annabelle has not done that, but typically not in the fashion that Robert the Doll had.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's freaky. And the doll, like Annabelle, it looks like looks like if you're walking down the mall and little girls playing with it, you wouldn't be like, oh my God. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's cursed.
Yes.
Robert the Doll looks like that. If you saw somebody playing with you'd be like, I'm going this way.
Yeah, I'm just going to go the other way. We're cool.
I'm going to go on the other side. Hey, parents, maybe you want to, I'm not trying to tell you how to raise your kids, but whatever. So, yeah, so a really interesting thing. So before we get into our topic today, what is your favorite Wisconsin cryptid? You have a cryptid you like? There's a lot. Beast of Bray Road, Goat Man. There's some serpents. There's a lot of fun stuff.
Never any serpents. I am very anti-serpent.
Anti-serpent, I got you.
Serpents totally scare me. They really scare me. Gosh. Initially, and I don't know if it's anything specifically Wisconsin related, but I've always been a fan of Mothman.
Mothman, yes. Mothman has been seen in Wisconsin. A Mothman, really interesting. Here's another free one for you, a star. A Mothman has been seen in Chicago and has been seen around the O'Hare Airport.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. That would not surprise me at all. Like, seriously, because, okay, I also heard of a story, too, that there is actually a cemetery, like, almost right behind.
Correct. That is correct.
And I'm like, that just makes sense for it to have, because in a lot of ways, sometimes I think, if you believe in portals and, like, that kind of thing, like, cemeteries can be a good portal station.
Yeah.
Like, they really can. I would not be surprised at all. That would be, nope, I believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. How about, mine is Beast of Bray Road. It's been around forever and ever and ever. A werewolf guy, a guy that turns into a werewolf. Come on. I love it. Or do we know if it's a guy that turns into a werewolf? I don't know. But it's been around, oh my God, since like the 30s and 40s, people claim to see the Beast of Bray Road. If you go out there, it's kind of funny. I've been out there. It's a woods.
Yeah,
and, I kind of hung out, and, I'm not like saying I camped out there or anything, but I just kind of hung out, and, at night with me and my buddies, and we just kind of hung out. We just kind of listened, and we never heard anything, but not to say that isn't true.
Sure. Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Favorite urban legend in Wisconsin? Are you familiar with any urban legends in Wisconsin? And what would be your favorite?
I don't know if I am or not. Like I think when it comes to that, I immediately go to, and I know we're probably going to discuss it, but I immediately go into like Kate Blood, because I feel like she was such a...
That's an urban legend.
Such a like staple, and I remember hearing about her constantly in high school and all of that. She was always one that for the longest time until I did my own research on it, I like really always wondered like, maybe she's totally a witch. Like, yeah, okay.
Awesome. I love that. I love it. Yeah. I love the Bloody Bride Bridge. The Bloody Bride Bridge.
Where's that? I've never heard of that.
So that one is in Sheboygan.
Okay.
I've been over this bridge too. If you're ever in Sheboygan, you're kind of near it.
Yeah, I'm about 2 hours away.
Yeah, you're about 2 hours away. So it's yeah, I mean, if you're just like wanting to take a trip. So you'll love this because you've already told me this scares you. So it's just going to scare you. So if you go across this bridge, usually at night, what will happen is one or two things. One, you'll be driving over the bridge and you will see a woman in a wedding dress have blood on her. Okay. And people will pick her up because they'll be like, oh my God, nobody's thinking like, why is there a woman in a wedding dress in the middle of the night, blood all over her? I'm not sure if I'm going to pick her up, but some people do because we're good people in Wisconsin.
Midwest people are good people.
Yeah. So pick her up, right? She's in the front seat. The person's like, oh, I'm going to get you to the hospital. What's your name? Blah, 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 blah. The woman will just sit there and just stare straight ahead. And, you're frantic, right? You're like, oh my God,
I'd be so
where's
freaked
your
out.
car? What happened? You're freaking out, right? And then as soon as you get over the bridge, she disappears. She's not.
Oh, that's creepy. That's definitely creepy.
The worst, I haven't gotten to the worst part. The other part that happens is you're driving over, and this would freak me out, Star. This would freak me the F out. You're driving on the bridge, you look in your rear view mirror, and guess who's in the back seat? She is, yes, in her wedding dress, ghostly image, blood on her face, blood all over her wedding dress.
Oh my gosh, I'd get out of the car and run, and I don't even know if that's a good idea or not.
So now what's interesting about this one is, again, a police officer back in the 60s, 70s. If you go research the story, it's really interesting. He supposedly picked her up and was like, I'll get you, I'll get you to the hospital, miss, and then we'll get back and we'll get your car, whatever. We'll make sure you're okay. And that's what happened to him. He got over the bridge and she was gone. And he swears to God. Swears to God on a stack of Bibles that she was in the car.
I believe him. I believe him.
And numerous other reports, again, of people picking her up, looking in their rear view, seeing her, freaking out like we all do. And there's so many urban legends in Wisconsin.
There are.
And then last but not least, what is your favorite haunted site in Wisconsin? Do you have a favorite haunted one? It could be anything.
St. Nazianz.
Ooh, that's a good one. Tell my spooky friends about that.
So St. Nazianz and JFK Prep is in the town of St. Nazianz. And from my understanding, because I did do an episode on it, he was a priest, pastor, originally in Germany, got kicked out of Germany, had his followers come over, and they found an albino cow, according to the legend, that told them that they had to set up their city and their township there. And they named it St. Nazianz. And he started the school. There's theories about him having prophecies, and that when he died, the whole town shook like uncontrollably. And like walls were shaking, there was knocking, there was all this stuff. And he was like blessing people on his deathbed when he was like, I don't know if it's lucid or what it was, but he was like blessing them and then dismissing them. And it's a really, really twisted tale, like the way it's been told throughout the years. But they say that the church and the school are very, very haunted between like children ghosts. And I know that one of my friends, because this was like the thing in the 90s, was to go get a group of friends and run out to St. Nazianz at night and go explore, right? And I remember I never went because at that time I was like, now I would probably go. But then I definitely didn't. But anyway, I digress. So he comes back and he's like, you would not believe what happened. And I'm like, okay. He swears when they were downstairs in the basement, they discovered some pretty creepy stuff. And he was starting to walk down the hall and he got this weird smell. And then, like when you watch a movie and someone's walking in the hall and all of a sudden the hallway elongates. He swears that the hall was like getting longer and longer. Like he couldn't reach like the final back room that he was looking at to get to. And I was like, that's really weird. I'm like, that's really weird. And I even asked him, I'm like, were you drunk? Like, was there anything going on? And he's like, no. He's like, I promise you, like, not at all. He's like, I'm not, no. And then when they went to the church, my understanding too is that the bell had been removed from the tower, but they swear they could hear it. And I was like, and he thinks that he saw something, like some sort of shadow person, like in and by the rafters in a corner. And I was like, oh, that's creepy. I'm like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
So
that is creepy. That's really creepy.
The whole town history on that and how that happened, and then his death, and how it all kind of like started to fall apart, but the residual energy was there. That's really, really fascinating to me.
Yeah, that's always scary, right?
Yeah.
Mine is the Summerwind Mansion up in northern Wisconsin.
Summerwind Mansion.
Yeah, that's a great one. Great story. Basically, it's on a Indian burial ground. It's kind of like a Poltergeist movie. You moved the tombstones, but you kept the bodies in there, kind of thing. And it's crazy. A father went insane there. Workers who have tried to restore it have been, they just leave. Kind of you're talking about originally the story about the renovation of that building and everything. Where it's, why is it taking so long and stuff? What's going on? Like workers would see their tools levitate and be like, yeah, I'm out. Yeah, right. I'm gone with Don.
Yeah,
I'm not going to blame them. Yeah, and it's a great story. Supposedly it burned down in a mysterious fire.
That's what I heard too. And I was like,
struck by lightning.
Down?
Yeah. So there's all this crazy stuff with it and everything like that. So yeah, go check that out. So what we're going to talk about today, and a lot of people forget this, Star, Wisconsin is full of paranormal stories that will make you freak out, and it's creepy shit. Definitely. So we're going to talk about cemeteries in Wisconsin. And I kind of just started with just the main ones that are pretty haunted and haunted until this day. And we're going to start with one of my favorites and one of Star's favorites, the Riverside Cemetery in Appleton, Wisconsin, with Kate Blood. So what's great about this cemetery, and please chime in anytime you want, Star. So basically, Kate Blood and I'm just going to go a little bit off of this. I've done an episode on it, so if you want to listen to the full episode, you're more than welcome to. She's a famous figure in Appleton, Wisconsin lore, and known for her tragic real-life story as a beloved daughter of a city founder who died young from consumption or tuberculosis, which was a big thing, whose grave at the Riverside Cemetery became the center of spooky legends about murder, witchcraft, and blood oozing from her tombstone, often linked to her surname and family's prominent role in early Appleton. So the legend as it goes is, and this tombstone is still there, folks. Please be respectful, by the way. If you're going to go and see it, do not do anything to damage it. It's not funny. All right. And I know I have to put that little disclaimer out there. Also, it's a cemetery, and you think you can go in anytime. That is not true. The cemeteries are open from dawn until dusk, and then you got to leave. I don't want anyone to be arrested and have to go to jail over something stupid. Going in there. But if you get permission, like a lot of my paranormal investigators have, if you want to do an investigation, please go to the local law enforcement, get permission, go in there, have a great time. She basically was considered to be a witch, okay? And one of the biggest things is why this happened is convoluted tale, which I won't get into because we have to get into the other grave sites. But again, Star, if you want to mention anything, one of the things they have here is it's a little unusual, and I love stories like this because there's blood oozing supposedly during a full moon, usually during October, around the Halloween time, of course. In the fall, like the fall equinox, there's supposedly blood will ooze from her tombstone. And it's really frightening. People on YouTube have claimed to have pictures of it and everything. Believe what you want to believe. So that's the first one. And it's haunted a lot. A lot of people see her Cape Blood, see her apparition, see her husband. There's just a lot of different things going on in that cemetery. But the main thing is the cemetery, the tombstone of Cape Blood.
What's interesting too is she's separated from the majority of the cemetery. Like where she actually rests, she's actually off on a bluff overlooking the river. And she's away from the mass majority of the entire cemetery, which I always thought was very interesting. And in my opinion, I think she's got the best spot, in my opinion. Yeah. Like when I look at the view, I'm like, yeah, girl, you got yourself hooked up.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's a lot of different things. I've heard about a phantom dog in that cemetery. I've heard about other apparitions as well. So that cemetery, I used to live right by it. So I would walk it like all the time. And I honestly, I miss that cemetery. That is definitely my favorite cemetery ever. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really cool cemetery. Again, if you're going in there, I would ask somebody where her headstone is, because like I said, it's not far away. I shouldn't say that, right?
Right.
What would you say? It's kind of like, here's the cemetery and here's
the back. It's really pushed to the far back.
Yeah. 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 And like you mentioned, people do kiss it. Mm-hmm. People do worship her still, in a sense.
Or do it for luck, or I'm not sure. Because I never understood the kissing thing. I'm like, why would you kiss it? I'm like, maybe because she's a witch, like the alleged witch theory. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to the next one. It is the Walnut Grove Cemetery, better known as, and I'm really a mush mouth, so I apologize for this, Glen Blah Cemetery, and it is regarded by many as the most haunted cemetery in Wisconsin. So it's in Glen Blah County? I don't know. Well, I'll read more about it and you can look it up. The old burial ground rests atop of a hill at the end of a winding road and is surrounded by trees. So already right there, it's this winding road surrounded by trees. I'm not saying it's in the middle of nowhere, but you get it, right? It's kind of freaky when you go there. It has graves dating back to the mid-1800s. Many of them have fallen over and broken. According to a local legend, a man once tried to commit suicide by hanging himself from a tree in the cemetery. As he dropped, however, the force caused the rope to tear through his neck and sever his head. His head, they say, rolled down the hill into town. So imagine you're taking a walk star. You're just, that's a beautiful day. Then, bloop, 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 bloop. Yeah, I wonder what that is. A rock?
Gosh. And that's got to be some serious steep hill with some momentum for that.
Right?
Yeah.
I believe this would be in the 1800s because everything in the 1800s was horrible. Every time I do a story, it's bad. So the apparition, this man has been seen wandering among the gravestones after midnight. I haven't done too much research, but I imagine he's headless, looking for his head.
I would wonder that too. Or is he kind of like, in Harry Potter where you have nearly headless Nick? Like, is it kind of like
where he's like that? Yeah, right. That could be it too. Also, there's rumors of glowing graves, a gravestone where shoes appear and vanish, and loud, strange noises have been heard. I don't understand the shoes, but okay. Who knows?
That's awesome.
Here, visitors often leave offerings of toys and stuffed animals at the grave of Grace Bauman, who died 5 days after her birth in 1943. It may be little Grace who has been seen watching from beside a large tree, lost and alone. Oh, Gracie.
That is so sweet.
Yeah, so this little baby.
I could to play with her. I'd play like hide and seek or something with her.
Yeah, so Glen Blah Cemetery, look it up, see where it is, and then you can go there and hopefully see. Now, what did we talk about earlier? It is said to have appeared on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. I don't remember this episode, so I'm going to go back and look it up.
Yeah,
there's so many episodes. Robert Stack with the Fog People. There's a new one they put out on Netflix, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the Robert Stack ones, with Robert Stack narrating, aces. Some are on YouTube. Most you have to pay for, but some are on YouTube. Go on YouTube, see if you can find it. He was awesome. And actually, investigators captured real evidence of paranormal activity. So tonight, guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to try to find that episode. If I have to pay for it, oh well. I'll
Right.
pay for it. Nothing wrong with that. The
I want to
cemetery's
look that
hours.
up. Like, absolutely.
Yeah. Glen Bala Cemetery. So there you go. The cemetery hours are strictly enforced, like I said, guys, due to unfortunately vandalism and rumors of satanic rituals. It's always satanic rituals. Yeah, that's not funny, folks. Again, I hate to be a disclaimer star, but if you're gonna do something like that, think, even if you think you're having fun, like we just talked about here, folks, it follows you. So anyway, not fair from the cemetery. And this is what I love. This ain't a cemetery, but I had to bring this up. Is the Glen Bala School? It's haunted. The old Glen Bala School was built in 1916 and is said to have been home to unexplained phenomenon witnessed by teachers earlier on. Today, the building is owned by the group Fox Valley Ghost Hunters, by the way, great group, who conduct ghost tours of paranormal investigations of the building. After your tour, you can stop by their store and, hey, what the heck, people? I'll give them a little plug. You can pick up a t-shirt, tarot card, sage, and more. So, Haunted Cemetery, Haunted School, go check it out. The group says, who have done the Fox Valley Ghost Hunters, the group says footsteps have been heard running up and down the stairs, and through the halls, loud and clear voices have been heard. Lights turn on and off after having been turned off. Pictures repeatedly fall off the walls. Objects in the store are moved around inexplicably. Shadows, figures roam the old classroom. So, yeah. And you can purchase tickets for this. You just have to go on the website and check it out. Anything you want to bring about that before I move on?
I don't think so, but I definitely want to go to the Glen Abuela. I think it's Glen Buela.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm a mush mouth, so thank you for that.
So I am.
So Fox Valley Ghost Hunters also host paranormal investigations of Sheboygan County Asylum, which is hella haunted. And they have a cemetery there, the Spiritland Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And various writings claim that the quiet graveyard a few miles outside of Plainfield got its name. By the way, who was in Plainfield? Ed Gein, the butcher of Plainfield. So if you're going to Plainfield, go check out where Ed Gein's house used to be. That's hella haunted. The cemetery there is hella haunted. Sheboygan County Asylum, which Ed Gein, the butcher of Plainfield, used to be in. So I don't know. Be a little careful.
Yeah.
Got its name because long ago, a grieving husband who frequents his wife's grave, where he was able to commune with his spirit. But why are the spirits restless in Spiritland? So the name of the cemetery is Spiritland Cemetery. So this gentleman supposedly was, used spirituality or whatever you want to say to conduct with his wife and have contact with her. Some believe also that it's because between 1945 and 1957, here's our good old Eddie, this cemetery was one of the three where Ed Gein would go to dig up freshly buried bodies of women for his ghoulish hobbies. Since their graves have been disturbed, the dead have been unable to find peace. So, so he would go there in the middle of the night. If you know anything about Ed Gein, I did a little thing on him. One of our, Wisconsin gets a little bad rap. We've had Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein, two heavy hitter serial killers.
And that's why,
they're well known.
Do you ever find it interesting? Because they always say like Ohio is the most haunted state. And I'm like, I feel like we could really give them a run for their money.
Yeah. I've interviewed people too from California, and they say their state is, and I'm like, I think we better have a face off and see.
Yeah,
let's have a battle sometime. Actually, that'd be fun. We should have a group thing someday. Bring people from all over the world to see if we can find out who's the worst. So
there's a new reality show right there.
Hey, me and Star got it rocking. The next one is Hillside Cemetery. 1889, Morris Pratt Institute was established in Whitewater, so this is in Whitewater, Wisconsin, to study spiritualism. This is really interesting, too. Residents called it Spook Temple. Okay. There were spiritualists used seances, talking boards, planchettes, in other words, Ouija boards, and other methods to pierce the veil to communicate with the dead. So it's really interesting. I interviewed people who do a Whitewater tour in Whitewater, Wisconsin. people don't understand, Star, this place was the hub at one time of spiritualism, of people trying to commune with the dead. And supposedly Whitewater's hella haunted. Really interesting. My sister went there for college. I didn't really think about it at that time, but I want to go back and check this out because a lot of people think because they did other spiritualism there, is the town full of restless spirits. People would say there is. So
I have heard that as well because, like, I've heard that it's considered second Salem. Like,
correct.
And I'm like, that would, and I know they've got the Witches Tower, and there's like a lot of things going on there. And I'm like, I need to take a road trip there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So the grave of Morris Pratt himself will be found in Hillside Cemetery. Legendary, I didn't even know we had this, Star. Legendary axe murderer and self-professed witch Mary Worth, whom some believe cursed the town, is also said to reside in a crypt there. Gotta look her up. I didn't know she's an axe murderer and a witch. That's a weird combination.
Hey, it worked out American Horror Story.
Yeah, exactly. Also, so that cemetery is hella haunting. Check that out. There's also a cemetery in Whitewater called Oak Grove Cemetery. And according to legend, a coven of witches used to conduct rituals in the Oak Grove Cemetery. This cemetery is now closed to the public. I don't know why it's closed to the public. I would have to look at some Google Maps and see what's going on with that. There must be a reason, but I don't know. The coffin of a baby girl was dug up from one of these cemeteries and left. Oh my God, this is terrible. Left on the steps of a building at the nearby UW Whitewater campus during the week of Halloween in 1970. And that is true, folks. That is not an urban legend. There is a news report where someone dug up a newly fresh a baby who had died and left it on the steps of the registration hall at Whitewater. Yikes. I don't know what kind
people are haunted. Guaranteed they are haunted and they are paying their karma for life.
Yeah, that's messed up. That is
really messed up.
What is wrong with you? Anyway, so in October, it is now December, but if you want to, in October, they have an annual ghost tour in Whitewater, which by the way, I interviewed the Whitewater people who run it. They're very, very nice people, and they love talking about it. So if you go there, you're going to have a great time. They do the ghost tours. You can go on their website, check it out. You would have a lot of fun. So, which takes the participants in many of the typical closed locations, such as the Witch's Tower, Mary Worth's Crypt. Yes, Mary Worth, the axe murderer witch, has a crypt. Okay. And Oak Grove Cemetery. So, it's a really cool thing. Go check it out. Support local people. I'm always big on that. Anyway. So this one is not a cemetery per se, but it has to do with the cemeteries. Like Star said, the Witch's Triangle, Whitewater, there are many legends of witchcraft in Whitewater. It has been known as Second Salem. In an old stone water tower, by the way, go look at it. It's creepy as hell. In Theron Park, at the center of many of these legends, where some believe witches were buried and rituals are still carried out to this day. Really quick story about that. One of the people who do the tour, he's been living in Whitewater most of his life, went to college there. There's a barbed wire fence around the tower. So, and there's security now. But before, there was just a barbed wire fence. Being a stupid kid, he said, in his 20s, they jumped the fence and we're going to have a Ouija board session at the tower. Mistake number one, right? Anyway, when they started the Ouija board session, things started to go south in a hurry. The planchette moved by itself. They saw shadow figures. The people with them who were in their 20s, men and women, decided they got to leave. However, when they were leaving, the guy said when he was walking, something grabbed the back of his hoodie. So you're wearing a hoodie right now, and pulled him back. And he looked to see it was one of his friends messing with him. There was nobody there. When he tried to jump the fence, someone pulled at his leg and he almost landed on the barbed wire, and he would have been caught in that barbed wire. And, he wouldn't have probably died, but he would have been severely injured. He got out of there and stuff. When he got out of there in the morning, he had bruises on his back. He had like somebody who had really pressed down on his shoulder, like bruises. And he said, I would never go back there again. He said, there's something going on.
Yep.
And according to, witches who live in the area, they're kind of like, there are ceremonies we do there, but it's not like what you think. Who knows, right?
Right.
So anyway, all these land and buildings within the triangle are believed to be haunted in Whitewater, and this is where the area's disturbing historical legends reside. So again, go check it out. It's really funny that we have witches in Wisconsin. I don't think it's funny, but it's interesting. We don't think about that. You think Salem,
Always.
you think East
New Orleans.
Coast, New Orleans. You don't think about that, right? You don't think about that at all. So that is some of the cemeteries and stuff like that. Except one of the things what I thought was really interesting too is, again, you can go there in Halloween. Those are the best tours and everything, like I said, which I thought would be really fun, right, Star? Go there in Halloween.
Absolutely. I would so be into that.
Yeah. So the last one is the Resini Cemetery. Again, I'm mushmouth. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. William Tolmage, the son of Wisconsin Territory Governor Nathaniel Potter Tolmage, was just 19 years old when he died on June 12, 1845. He was buried in a spot he had picked only 2 weeks earlier. Okay?
That's weird.
Yeah. Upon top of a hill on his family lands, which they called Resini Hill. Nathaniel found solace in his beliefs and practice of spiritualism when the movement began not long after. Many of Nathaniel's experiences communicating with the dead through various mediums were recorded in 1853 book Spiritualism, Volume 1. He wrote that his youngest daughter, and 13, plays the piano on the instruction of the spirits. She had never played piano before in her life and no understanding of notes. He claimed until one day she sat down on the keys and played Beethoven's Grand Waltz. Okay, that's interesting.
All right.
The same year spiritualism was published, Talmage donated the hill and the surrounding 8.5 acres of his farm for use as a public cemetery. Okay. Since then, Resini has become a final resting place of Civil War generals, senators, congressmen, athletes, musicians, and depending on who you ask, witches. So again, really, really interesting. I think one of the things too, just really quickly, is some of the things in here too claim they have a witches circle at the back of the cemetery, and the plot is marked by 4 small cornerstones. And like I said, this is called the witches circle. And there's also a witches circle in Whitewater. So interesting. As the story goes, this is, I've never heard this one. Nuns from a religious center nearby, known as the Sisterhood of Nativity, were getting pregnant and performing witchcraft.
Oh my gosh.
So these nuns were getting pregnant, having sex, and performing witchcraft. Anyway, the women were excommunicated from the church and upon their deaths buried in unconsecrated ground at the back of the cemetery. Some claim to have found a witch's house somewhere in the woods behind the circle.
Well, now I want to go look for the house.
The old stone receiving vault is said to contain a glowing portal to hell that opens at night. And the Resini Cemetery is just down the road from one of the most haunted places in Fond du Lac, the notorious Witherell House, which I'm not familiar with that, but that's what I have to do. Kind of look at that Witherell House. I've never heard of that house, but okay.
The only one that I know of is the Octagon House in Fond du Lac.
Yeah, so I know the Octagon House, so maybe it's the same thing and they didn't call it. But anyway, that's just a small sampling size of some of the cemeteries that are haunted in Wisconsin. So, Star, what do you think? You think these are all haunted, or you think it's people's imagination?
Oh, no, I'm a believer, especially when it comes to a cemetery. Like, nope, I believe you. A cemetery, I think, is definitely just grounds for activity. It absolutely is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. So, before we wrap up for tonight, why don't you tell my spooky friends what you got coming up, where they can find you and check out your podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, since it, right now we're kind of in the holiday season, I've got some really fun holiday episodes coming up that are super spooky and creepy. So that'll be happening. And if you want to hang out with me, you can pretty much find me anywhere on any podcast platform for Creepy Shit Podcast. You can also go to Instagram at creepy_shit_podcast. And I'm also on the TikToks now, which that's kind of like a new territory. So Creepy Host Star for that. But that is where I am.
I love it. Star, thank you for going a little overtime with me. This was amazing. I could talk to you for hours. I love my Wisconsin people. And
Same.
again, people, you know, Wisconsin's really haunted. We just carry a fraction of what is haunted in Wisconsin. So go check out Star Creepy Shit Podcast. Also, everywhere she is on social media. Please check her out. Give her some love and, become a spooky friend with her. Because again, I love it. Because there's not enough spookiness and fun things, especially with history of Wisconsin and other areas to talk about to kind of get you in the mood, even though it's holiday season. We're still doing some holiday episodes. It never goes away, right?
Right. Exactly right. It never does.
Love you. So love you, Star. Love to have you again on sometime, or if you want me on your podcast. I love being a guest. I tell all my podcast hosts if you'd like to do that.
100%. That's a yes. That's a definitive yes.
Yeah. So reach out to me. And again, thank you so much. This was so much fun. And remember, stay spooky.
Thank you.